Maybe we could come to the other end, Robert, and talk a little bit about as a practitioner here.
I think there's 5 things, and in my list overlaps your list a lot, maybe some different terms, but similar things. One is customer focus. I'm amazed how many people in the nonprofit world never talk about customers. In the for-profit world, you almost have everybody either talk about their customers or maybe their shareholders, in terms of, the ROI. If you're talking to an agency and you move around an agency and all they do is talk about the agency and don't talk about the people you're helping, I think you're in a place that's not innovative. You need to be talking about who you are helping first and foremost. And if that means the best thing to help people is for your agency to go away, either because of success or because you're not doing it right or somebody else is doing it better, that's the type of innovation. Second is it needs to be holistic and systemic. Third is it needs to be data, innovation through data and outcomes. And I don't mean change for change's sake. I mean it needs to be change based and driven off of data and outcomes. I think it needs to be engaging rather than enabling. A lot of the folks in the nonprofit world are out helping people, if you will, on Maslow hierarchies of needs, and are working on the very bottom part of the pyramid. Social innovation is working on the top part of the pyramid. And so rather than just sort of food and shelter, you need to be about transformation, transforming and saving lives if you're in our world of homeless. And I think the last is collaboration. And collaboration is not just with funders, it's not just with government, but it's collaboration across agencies that are also in your world and helping. Because I think in the future, we were talking last night at dinner, and I think Stacy had a really good point, is in the future, 5-10 years from now, there's probably going to be no grants given that are just from one granting agency to one, or a grantor to one agency. Future grants, future funding sources are going to be systemic. It's going to be 3 or 4 agencies together. It's going to be a continuum together. It's going to be a system together. And it's no longer going to be one agency or one giver to one particular nonprofit agency.
Robert, can I ask you to just build on that and take some or all of those elements and bring them to the actual work you're doing right now then? Give me a couple of examples within your work.
Well, in Haven for Hope, we consider ourselves a convener of 77 different partners. Government agencies on campus, we have about 20 government agencies. We have faith-based nonprofits and a few non-faith-based nonprofits all working together. And when we were putting our medical center operation that's been up for about 9 months, we have a vision care center, a medical center, and a dental center. And everybody said we could not put all these people in one place because the federal, the medical clinic is a federal-run agency through, in essence, through pass-through. But the vision and the dental are 2 faith-based operations. And they said you couldn't put them in one building. I mean, we kept hearing both sides. The government said you can't put them together. The nonprofit side, well, there's the devil. And you don't want them to work together. I mean, literally, it was amazing. And so I said, well, what happens if we just put a door between the medical clinic and the vision hallway to the dental clinic? And that's literally what we did. We put a door there so we could separate these clinics. And everybody said, hey, that's fine. And we've been operating just fine. And so, part of it is just don't, when people tell you all the reasons why you can't, you just can't stop there. You just got to keep going until you find an innovative solution to it.
That's great. I'm gonna shift the question a bit for the 2 of you, Stacy and Nadia. Just knowing your work and that well, Stacy, you've been doing it for a while now, and Nadia is more new to actually working with innovative nonprofits. And to talk a little bit about the work that you either are doing or are planning on doing, and what you're seeing out there as the need. So for people that are trying to bring some of the principles that you're driving, that have that yearning that both Robert and Reshma are talking about, what are you seeing out there? Because when people are raising their hand, there's probably still needs that they have, and so their energy is there, but their gap of knowledge might not be.
So how many of you have a large donor strategy? Raise strategy to cultivate your large donors? Okay. Well, then I can kind of guess probably how many of you have a highly skilled volunteer strategy? How many of you know what to do with a CFO who walks through your door and wants to get engaged with your mission, other than putting them on your board? This is the shift that's happening. What we're seeing in philanthropy is it's not just about the large foundations who are giving the money to the nonprofits. The vast majority of charitable giving are individuals who want to make a difference in their community. And now they're wanting to do more than just sit on your board. They want to use the skill set that they've cultivated over a lifetime and come and staff your agency. That's a huge thing. I can't tell you how many partners that are in this social venture partner movement who come to our table saying, I sat on a board, boy was it a nightmare experience, I never want to do that again. I mean, there's all sorts of things in that kind of scenario that we could unpack all day, and believe me, I run a board as well, and so I get it. But the other piece of this is when you hear somebody say, I've been 20 years in a Fortune 500 company, I'm in the C-suite of this organization, and I show up and they want me to do a mass mailer. And it's not that I don't want to serve that mission, but really, I mean, I could probably help them in a more significant way. So this is what I'm seeing is people who want to give back very strategically with their time, and they want to be cultivated as a long-term volunteer for your organization. I think another piece of it is exactly what you were talking about, Robert. It's how you engage your stakeholders. First of all, we have to think much more expansively about who our stakeholders are. And really meditate on who has a vested interest in the success of your mission. Because if you really spend some time thinking about that, it's much more than just your client base. And so once you start to really cultivate in the business world, it might be audience segmentation. Here it's about your stakeholder segmentation and what brings each of them to the table. We're talking about new communication tools, how to do that. Social media is certainly one of those. Storytelling is another. But it's not about pushing your message out to the world. It's about engaging them in what's relevant to your mission and what's most impactful. And then my final kind of feel or gut feel about where we're heading and how this is changing and what we need to do. This is not mission-based business anymore. This is impact-based. So the days are numbered where one nonprofit can stand behind one mission. Nonprofits have to band together and stand behind a social issue that we're going to move the dial on together. And so they can't solely be run by people with a passion, but we can't lose that either. This is what makes our sector who we are, and we should be proud of the fact that what brings us to work every single day is the passion that fuels the fire to solve these social issues that we're tackling. But it can't be the end-all be-all.
In Louisiana, I guess we decided pretty early on that we wanted to be very deliberate about what we offer to our nonprofit community, and not just our nonprofit community, our offerings are also to other government agencies. I do want to make sure I emphasize that we recognize that there's a need also in the way that we operate government to provide social services to our citizens. And so part of what we determined in talking with a lot of people that were in the social service provisions field is that there was a yearning for additional learning, specifically around business planning and business acumen, and how do we apply that same rigor that a for-profit industry or a for-profit company would apply to their business. How do we do that in the nonprofit or the social service procurement world? So the desire was there, but there was a gap that existed between having the desire and recognizing that there's a need, and how do we get there? Most of us don't decide to go back to school because we have so much work to do in front of us, and so we get caught up in the day-to-day world of really changing lives and giving people what they need. But in the back of our minds, we know that there's probably a better way to do this.